Alright, so we're reassembling our Mazda motor here, the 2.3 turbo. For those of you who watched part 1, you know what I'm talking about. For those of you who haven't watched part 1, go back and watch part 1 and then come back and watch part 2. But anyway, in repairing this car, this engine for this Mazda, I went to the auto parts store and asked for the rod bearings. Well, the rod bearings, these are the rod bearings here, as I pointed out before. It looks a whole lot better than what we had before, I believe. Before we had a mangled mess there. But we've cleaned all that out. We've cleaned the block out. Anytime you're doing this type of work, you want to clean your block out. Get all that oil and stuff out of there. This is an aluminum block, so use the appropriate chemicals to clean aluminum block. If you don't know which ones they are, contact me. I'll let you know some good ones to use. But anyway, in putting this motor back together, I went to the auto parts store and I asked them, I said, hey, let me have the standard crank rod bearings here. And this is the only good one that came out of the motor when I took it apart. And as you can see, it's all damaged there. It's through. Surface is pretty rough, but these bearings are a whole lot softer material than the actual crankshaft. If you get your crankshaft gouged out, then it'd be a good idea to take it to your local machine shop and get it cleaned up, unless you want to do it yourself. Alright, so anyway, the point of this video is, in putting this together, I always like to, put stuff before I actually, you want to basically fit it in there first before you start to just slap it together, put it together, assemble it, whatever you want to call the situation. But you notice this gap here? You see that gap right there? Yeah, well, that's not supposed to be there. Okay, it's touching on the bottom half, but at the top it's not touching. And as you can see, I can slide that thing right back and forth. That's what you don't want. Ow. As a matter of fact, it just fell on off. Alright. The bearings that came in from the factory, when you put those on there, it'll make a perfect tight circular union. And that's the piece that the crankshaft rides around. The journal on the crankshaft, this piece here. You don't want to damage. You have this damage, so this bearing takes the damage, but it protects it, but it also provides a cushion here for the crankshaft journal and the connecting rod, which is down in there toward the bottom there. You can see it on this one. Yeah. So we'll go back to the auto parts store and get do a measurement, and probably have to order some special bearings for this motor here. Then we can finish assembling the bottom half. And I just wanted to point that out to you. If you ever run into that situation, the person who's never done this before, they might be like, oh, okay, well, maybe it's just a little smaller. This is what the auto parts store gave me. But do not put that in there wrong, because it's a lot of work to assemble this motor, put it back in the car, and then the customer comes to you complaining about weird noises, or even worse, premature failure of your engine build. So, until next time, please comment, subscribe, post comments. Also, someone asked me about these white marks here. Okay, these white marks are used as a reference point. This particular engine has, I believe, 8 different steps in the torque sequence. And as you can see here, these steps are quite intense. So what you want to do is, after you go through all that, when I get to like step 7, on my final torque, and you want to torque these in particular order. 1, 2, as you can see there. And this is for your main bearing caps on a 2009 Mazda 2.3 turbo. Okay, so here is the torque sequence if you need that information. And that is, well, that's the sequence, and that's the torque amounts and the tightening procedure. So we've done that, but what we do, and take your time and do it, don't rush through it, do not use an air tool, do that by hand. Okay, so what we do, once I get to that step 7, I mark my bolts. Okay, because that last step is a turn of a degree. Now I also have a degree measurement, so a gauge, which you put your gauge on there. But I like to, it's like a double check. When I turn that and I see the mark is up, I know that I've turned that bolt. So sometimes somebody might call you, distract you, or anything could happen. If you have your bolts marked, you already know which ones you've done if you get distracted. But you also know that accordingly, if this mark is 90 degrees from where it started at, then hey, boom, I've accomplished my proper angle. But if you have the tool, use the tool. If you don't have the tool, use the mark. If you have the tool, use the tool and the mark. That way you can't go wrong. Till next time, post comments. Please subscribe. Have a great day.